Okay, so what I'll talk a little bit about is kind of an introduction to Samsung Biologics. We're relatively newcomers to the industry. Samsung Biologics only started in 2011, so we've only been going for 8 years. And I remember 3 or 4 years ago when people were asking me about Samsung, I said, well, you know, they make phones, they do all kinds of, semiconductors, and biologics was still a relatively new thing for them, even going back 4 or 5 years. But what I wanted to share with you is a little bit about the journey for Samsung Biologics to where we are today and how we got to where we are today. I want to talk a little bit about some of the business objectives and metrics and how this specifically ties to our clients or customers. This is really important to driving this mentality to the shop floor. I want all my team in manufacturing to understand, what the products they're making, the patients they serve, but also what's important in the process, what's critical, what's important. And that's really important on the shop floor for people who are running the processes day in, day out. And then I want to talk a little bit about continuous improvement. Some of this will be technical improvements, some of it will be cultural improvements. And then finally, I'll have a conclusion. Okay, a little bit of an intro to Samsung Biologics. As I mentioned, we started in 2011. Today on the campus, we have something around 2,500 people. A large campus. We have 3 main DS facilities and associated drug product facilities. We have in total now 342,000 litres of cell culture capacity. This is the biggest facility in the world for cell culture. Huge amount of volume. Our batch success has been really high, over 98% across all 3 facilities. In addition to that, we've had a really good record in terms of regulatory inspections and product approvals. So well over 30 plus inspections by all the leading agencies, EMA, FDA, many other agencies around the world. And over 42 product approvals now, so that number continues to grow. So in a relatively short space of time, we've established, I would say, an excellent track record. So a little bit about the facility. So as I mentioned, we started in Plant 1 2011. Again, a totally new business for Samsung. And, when people talk about that story, is why do they go into biologics? And obviously they saw the opportunity in the healthcare business and the growth in biologics, particularly around segments around oncology, the promise of Alzheimer's and other indications. But up at that point, Samsung is a huge company, huge construction company, huge engineering company. They built something like 23 clean rooms for chips, electronic chips. So building clean rooms was not new for them. And applying a clean room for a biologics facility as opposed to a chip, it's not a huge difference. So they came in with a very strong foundation of construction and engineering and building clean rooms. So that's what enabled them to get started really with manufacturing, but also designing and building biologics manufacturing. So started with Plant 1, 30,000 litres of capacity, 6 5,000 litre bioreactors. They had a fill finish line with this, and built also to support that, they had also to build a QC function as well as PD labs. The next step of that, that became operational around 2013. The next Plant 2 was a bigger facility, 150,000 litres, so 15,000 litre bioreactors, and plus some smaller scale facilities for clinical manufacturing. We have a small scale 2,000 litre facility and a single-use facility which will come online early next year. In addition to that, we also added another fill finish line. We expanded our QC lab and expanded our PD lab. That was commissioned in 2016, and then Plant 3 came along, which was basically completed October last year. So Plant 3, as you can guess, was even bigger. Not much bigger, but we went from 150,000 to 180,000. So basically we went from 15,000 litre bioreactors to 12. The difference with Plant 2 is that we actually added an additional harvest suite. So we had 2 harvest suites and additional purification suites, so 2 downstream purification suites. And that was a way to reduce bottlenecks in terms of increasing the cadence or throughput in the facility. As part of that expansion, again, we added QC laboratories, PD laboratories, And we've also recently added what we call a BTS, a biotesting safety laboratory, where we can now do viral mycoplasma testing in-house. So the story behind this, as we continue to expand, we've not only expanded our manufacturing footprint, but also our capabilities for development, for analytics along the way. And of course, in addition to the drug substance, we've added drug product facilities. So let me talk a little bit more specifically about Plant 3, which I'm responsible for. So a huge facility, 15,000 litre bioreactors, 180,000 litres of cell culture capacity. So what does that entail? Well, basically what it has is really, to support that, we have 6 dedicated inoculum suites, three inoculum suites, so we can handle multiple cell lines. 6 seed trains supporting 12 production bioreactors. So each seed train will feed 2 production bioreactors. 2 harvest suites and 2 purification suites. Purification suites contain all the equipment required for protein purification. Chromatography columns, our biggest, go up to about 1.8 meters. Ultrafiltration, diafiltration, viral filtration. And really a classical approach to segregation in terms of pre- and post-viral segregation in terms of area segregation. So quite a standard configuration in design. And as I mentioned, this went operational in 2018. By that, it was GMP operations in 2018. So we've had about a year of operation underway, and that's what I want to kind of talk a little bit about as we move forward. The facility itself is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, so it's, as you can imagine, a facility that size, a lot of focus is on throughput, cadence, making sure we fill it. Okay, so this slide, I want to talk a little bit about, trying to tie in what we do in manufacturing, what I'm responsible for, really back to our customers or our clients. And this is really important, as I mentioned at the start of this, because I want everyone in my team to really understand what are the drivers, not only for Samsung Biologics, for our clients, but also when you think about things like tech transfer. Our model for tech transfers, we do tech transfers within 6 months, with very few exceptions. So that's our target, that's our benchmark. And again, it's important for a client, but we can deliver on that. It's a very ambitious, aggressive timeline. So when we say 6 months, we mean 6 months. So that's a really important commitment we make with our clients. And the other important thing here, I think, and I've highlighted here, is really around how CMOs or CDMOs manage change. Change management, I think, is one of the most critical aspects working with a contract manufacturer. As you know, volumes change, schedules change, processes change. How your CDMO responds to that, I think, is critical, really, really critical. And again, I think we have a very robust change management program. It's something I think we are flexible and adaptable. We recognize change happens, and we respond accordingly. And lastly on here is kind of value, and I kind of like the fact that Mia talked a little bit about value from UCB's perspective, focusing on things like yield and cost of goods. They're really important to us as well, because we can pass those savings back to our clients. And again, when we're operating such a large-scale facility, small incremental improvements in step recoveries and yields makes a huge difference. Huge difference. So anything we can pass back to our clients to say, okay, we can increase the step yield from 69% to 70%, makes a difference. And lastly, again, I think what we want to do to develop with our clients is what we call a partnerships. We want multiple products from a client. So we want to develop a relationship and a partnership which is based on trust. And again, that's really important for Samsung Biologics. Okay, a little bit more specific about manufacturing, which is the department I lead. The way we look at this is we need to run the business, we need to execute, we need to make product every day, day in, day out. So a lot of my time is spent at the top left of this quadrant, talking about manufacturing excellence, right first time. We want to focus on making our products, we want 0 safety incidents, we want to minimize our deviations. Our goal is 0 deviations. Unfortunately, we're still getting a few, but my goal is 0. Those are the things we need to be excellent at. Tied in with that is really around our people and our systems. We're only as good as the people, we hire. So we spend a lot of time on training, on development, making sure that we're really nurturing talent, we're providing opportunities, because that's the bedrock of what we do. And again, as being a very young company with a very young workforce, the training and the development is absolutely key and vital. On top of that, we need to protect our facility. Yeah, this is a new facility, it's a large facility. We need to take care of it. So again, with depreciation, we're losing money on that facility every single day through depreciation. We need to maximize its lifetime. And all this gets back to things around maintenance, but also a lot around good housekeeping and really taking pride in the equipment in the facility and taking good care of it. On the bottom side of this is really around what I call developing a business in blue. What can we do to improve? And this is kind of a mindset culture we're trying to establish in every single one. Is every day, how can we get better? What are the lessons we're learning as we run a campaign, as we run a batch, as we have discussions with our clients? What can we learn from that? How can we improve? Part of that is around operational excellence. How can we improve performance, increase efficiency? And I'll talk a bit more about that. And lastly, around innovation and new technology. What innovation, new technologies can we introduce as we move forward? The fortunate thing about working from a CDMO is we deal with many, many different clients, very diverse in terms of size, in terms of their processes, in terms of their technologies. The good thing from that, we can cherry pick from that list. So it gives us a unique insight, I think, into how companies operate in terms of their process development, the technologies they use, what is the emerging technologies. So again, we can use that to our advantage. And lastly, around client satisfaction, again, that's key for us. We want our clients to be happy. We want them to be able to trust us with their manufacturing. So this is really important in terms of getting feedback from clients. We do surveys. But also, again, we can pass on any benefits from reducing costs, whether it's increasing yields or reducing costs of goods, minimizing waste, things like that. All that we can pass back to our clients. And finally, I think one of the things about Samsung Biologics is it is really a one-stop shop where you can do your development, your testing, and your manufacturing in one location, and deal with what I'd like to think of as a seamless team. Okay, so what have we learned along the way? As I mentioned, we started in 2011 with Plant 1. One thing, obviously, our scale increased. But also what happened as well, we started Plant 1 with a relatively few number of clients running large-scale commercial or routine commercial products. Since Plant 2 and Plant 3, we've diversified now. So now in Plant 3, we run both clinical and commercial. We have big pharma companies, we have small biotech companies, virtual companies. So we have the full range. Some processes are well developed and characterized, others are not. So this causes, from a CMO, it causes more complexity. So it's not only scale, it's really complexity of our clients and processes has also changed. Colleague development, again, I touched on this, as we started in Plant 1, Samsung totally new to this business, yeah? We didn't have a track record on this. There's not a track record of biologics manufacturing in Korea, so there's not really companies we could pull from. But what we're able to do is really, because Samsung is a blue chip company, is really hire really talented people from universities and colleges in Korea. And by hiring people there, getting experience in Plant 1, transferring to Plant 2, getting experience there, and then transferring to Plant 3, we've been able to share, develop and share the expertise across all 3 plants. But again, it's been a challenge, a lot of focus again on training, on development, really establishing a quality and GMP mindset with people coming straight out of college or university. Not easy, but we've been able to do it. The other thing we've done is, again, as we built new facilities, we've learned something from design, yeah? So as we've designed and built these, we've learned things. So as you can see, as we go through the plants, then we've made design improvements, especially around things I would say like ergonomics, cleanability, really trying to improve capacity and removing bottlenecks. And that's been a feature of our design as we move forward. As I mentioned, for Plant 3, we purposefully added a second harvest suite and purification suite so we could debottleneck those areas. And our cadence target now for Plant 3 is 1.5 days. That's a target. We're not there yet. but that's our theoretical max for plant-free, 1.5 days. And lastly, again, as we've built facilities, we've added new technologies, and the latest technology we've added for plant-free is the N-1 perfusion, which I'll talk a little bit about. Okay, so what about operational excellence? So again, as we started plant-free in 2018, and we went, we started GMP production, as mentioned, October 2018. So 2018 was really a lot about completing the qualification and validation. When we started the facility, we spent a lot of time on really making sure we had the right organization in place. So we went from obviously, an engineering-led project through validation to a manufacturing operation starting in October. So we had to change the organization, we had to change the mindset a little bit of people, especially going from validation into GMP operation. And the good thing is a lot of the folks who were involved in the validation and some of the early engineering work were also the folks who then were working in the manufacturing operations. So they knew the equipment, they knew the automation, they knew the controls. So it wasn't such a big step for them to go into manufacturing. We also spent a lot of time making sure, again, GMP training and compliance, huge thing. You start GMP operations in October. We need to make sure all our staff 100% are fully compliant with their GMP training. And not only fully compliant in terms of doing the training, but really fully understanding the quality mindset and GMP mindset, which is difficult. It's not easy. And a few things on there, again, starting with safety, making sure from day one, October 2018, we start with a safety culture. And the other thing I'd say in 2018, what we did focus on was some Lean Sigma elements. So Lean Sigma usually you introduce after you've been in operation for a while, and then you look at efficiency and some Lean Sigma type projects. We started some Lean Sigma projects straight from the get-go because it was important to do that and establish that before we got really busy. And I'll give you a simple example of our storage area for parts. We implemented a 5S program around our storage. And again, it sounds like a simple thing, but really important because once you get busy in manufacturing operations, the place becomes a mess very quickly. When you have parts all over the place, things aren't labeled correctly, you're not managing your inventory. So we really spent a lot of time and effort establishing 5S systems for storage of parts, especially things which are product contact hoses, for example, in purification. We have hundreds and hundreds of product contact hoses. So how you label those, how you manage those, how you clean those. We wanted to get that right from the start. So that was 2018. We've had a year in operation now, so end of 2019, or getting to the end of 2019. We've had a really successful year in terms of operation. A lot of the focus has been on execution, right first time. Again, as we've gone through quite a few campaigns this year and several PPQ campaigns, we've learned from those and we've done lessons learned, continue to improve our knowledge. Compliance, inspection ready. Again, that's a kind of a mantra we've instilled, I think, in everyone in the team. We've been fortunate enough to have numerous client inspections, and we've recently had an FDA inspection, which was very successful. So again, this mindset that we're inspection ready is really paying dividends. Continue with our talent development and our training, really critical to make sure that we really focus on our talent, make sure we provide opportunities for cross-training, really, really important. So again, this year's been really successful, as mentioned, multiple tech transfers, multiple PPQ campaigns. So what next? So now we're into kind of thinking about 2020, and a lot of what we want to focus on now is performance and efficiency, we can run the facility, we've trained our staff, but now how can we improve? What do we need to focus on really to do, take us forward? So waste reduction, again, it's not a very kind of sexy topic, but for us it's really important, how we reduce our waste and things like materials. So this could be expiry of materials, it could be materials that we make that we end up discarding for whatever reason. How can we reduce or eliminate that? As I mentioned, our goal for deviations is 0. We're still getting some deviations. Most of our deviations are actually related to human error. So that's something that we can manage and control through programs and training. So that's a big program that we've recently started. How we standardize our process, making sure we're not constantly changing between different products. Again, it's an important thing. We need to feed back into tech transfer and try to influence our clients if there's a standard platform we'd like them to adopt. And moving forward for us, it's really around capacity. We've really got to maximize capacity as we get into 2020 and 2021. We have a large facility. We need to run a lot of batches. So how do we debottleneck? But it's a lot of this is really around how do we change over between products, product changeover times. How do we reduce that? How do we improve some of our cleaning that it's not so time consuming? Okay, learning organization. Again, this is something I talked a little bit about. We want to instill this within our company and certainly within manufacturing operations. So again, a lot of this is really around things we've learned along the way, around from our plants 1 and our plant 2, around engineering, operational best practices. As we've been inspected, what have we learned from that? As we've got products launched and approved, what have we learned from that we can pass on to our clients? Really important. And again, I come back to this, is really how we develop our training capabilities and keep a focus on that, because we need to continue to evolve and develop. Okay, technology, continuous improvement, again, is key to what we do. We have a number of internal programs around innovation. As I mentioned, we also get a lot of ideas and input from our clients. And we also get a lot of input from things like meetings with conferences and industry consortia such as Bioforum. So all kind of rich inputs to innovation. One innovation area which I'd like to talk a little bit about is N-1 perfusion. So we implemented this for plant 3. And our standard bioreactor train is we have 3 seed bioreactors, the smallest of which is 120 litres. It scales up to 600 litres, then to 3,000 litres, which we call our N-1, and that feeds our 15,000 litre production bioreactor. What we've done at our N-1, our 3,000 litre bioreactor, is installed a perfusion system. So what this allows us to do is to grow those cells to much higher cell densities than a batch production. And by doing that, we can feed our production stage at much higher C densities and reduce our window for productivity. We use an ATF system, alternating tangential flow filtration system. Works very well. Basically what happens in our bioreactor, cells are removed, the waste media is discarded, and as we discard the media waste, we're adding fresh media at the same rate. So the volume remains constant. And what this really does then allows the cells to reach very high cell densities. These are the systems we use. These are what we call the ATF systems. This is our 3,000 litre bioreactor. We have three ATF systems per bioreactor. When we started this project, again, we started this last year from design installation to testing to validation to GMP operation. It took about 6 months. A lot of work was done around the testing and validation in terms of making sure we could maintain sterility over extended periods. And then if you look at some of the data, a typical batch stage for this is kind of yellow bars here. So typically we'd run this stage from somewhere between 3 to 5 days. With perfusion, you see the green bars, we can increase our cell densities up to 7 or 8-fold. Versus a batch production. So huge difference. The viability is right at the top here, but that is close to 100%. So no drop in cell viability throughout this. So again, very successful. It allows us to inoculate our 15K much higher C densities. Our production window is much shorter. And we're also able to enhance productivity. Okay, last slide. So a lot of people ask me around, how have Samsung been so successful? What is the secret sauce? There's really no secret sauce to this. I've been working at Samsung Biologics now for about 15 months. The key to this, I think, is, the culture there is very team-focused. Everyone has a common purpose or goal, and once people align on that, the focus is on delivery and execution. The culture is hard-working, but people work quickly with purpose, and that's kind of a key here. And again, it's getting back to a common goal and objective. And once the team is aligned to do something, they do it. The workforce we have is a very young workforce, especially in manufacturing. It's a millennial workforce, very capable people, very open to learning new things. And then also we have this entrepreneurial spirit. We're really looking for innovation, new ideas, and have a lot of programs around innovation and new technologies. And then also we have some expat experience who are really helping to guide, coach our teams. So overall, as I said, there's not a secret sauce here. It's I think a very good cultural dynamic. I think the blend's right at SBL, and so far we've been very successful. So last slide. We've had a very successful year, 2019, in operations. Again, our focus now shifted from execution to performance and efficiency for the remainder of this year in 2020 and beyond. Again, we want to leverage cultural differences as a driving force. And again, the promotion of a learning culture, I think, is key to this. And lastly, we want to make it a fun place to work for everyone. So we have a lot of fun things. We work hard, but we also do a lot of fun events. So thank you. That's it. I appreciate you listening.